para que la cadena pueda disfrutar bien de esta competición incomparable. Por primera vez en Melilla nadamos, que nos han dado los Galápagos la carrera, porque va a pasar el interior de la muralla de la ciudad vieja de Melilla. Pues todo un espectáculo, todos conocemos esa vista de dron hoy para todo el mundo. Triathlon, 10 minutes for start, 10 minutos para la salida.
Well, we are just looking at pictures of the Israeli athletes ahead of the start here today, the 2025 European Triathlon Sprint and Relay Championships in Melilla. Melilla, well, it's an autonomous city of Spain which sits on the North African coast. And what a race we have here for you today. 54 athletes on the start line, no less, 21 nationalities. As we can see, our pictures show absolutely idyllic conditions here. Water temperature is good, and it is very, very calm out here in the shallow, clear waters. Just having a look now at race number 8, Edrin Edbeck from Estonia, one of the pre-race favourites, sitting inside the top 10. One of the athletes, though, to look out for today has to be Anouk Dana from Switzerland. But we can see there, temperature outside 18 degrees. Not sure if that is totally correct, although it is early in the morning here. Water temperature 20 degrees and humidity 56, with very little wind, as we can see, just 3 kilometres an hour. The weather, of course, will be hotting up a lot. It was well into the 30s yesterday here as the athletes went about their pre-race training. We can see there our top 10 athletes. Diana Duneska from Slovakia, and looking down the field as well from Latvia, Piat Hula. As I mentioned, there are 21 different nationalities amongst the 54 athletes that will be racing today. Hannah Manson there from Switzerland, wearing number 32. And as we go on down the field, we can see the rest of our athletes from Portugal, Switzerland, Amelia Gorkak and Vittoria Bacco from Italy. Anna Patterson racing for Great Britain, wearing number 51. As we roll down, Patience Lamb from Great Britain. Brilliant sights. This is an absolutely beautiful location here. Melilla is an autonomous city of Spain which sits on the North African coast. The athletes there now just getting warmed up ahead of this race today. Mario Mola as well there, chatting with some of the officials. What an incredible athlete he is. Multiple world champion, the great Mario Mola. We haven't seen much of him of late. Pictures now here of this beautiful little cove. The athletes will be racing. They will start the race a short run into the water on the Galapagos beach here in Melilla. Just one loop today of 750 metres. We can see our officials walking down to the start line. A little bit breezy here. That might go into the hands of some of the stronger cyclists. Well, nervous moments ahead of this European Sprint champion. Diana Gunajewska there from Slovakia. Many talking about her as one of the pre-race favourites. She's the current national sprint champion. Fanny Salai there from Hungary. Turns 18 this year. What a talent the young Hungarian girl is. She's the current sprint champion, winning the race in Turkey last year. Second though at the World Championships in 2024, behind the junior world champion, where's number 3 here, Ambry Grisette. She really is going to be an athlete to look out for here today. Lecomte from France as well, another athlete that's incredibly strong. She got a 3rd place finish at the Holton European Junior Cup just a few weeks ago in Holland. Beautiful pictures here we are seeing now. It is a very short run into the water, of course, a beach start, and conditions here are pretty good indeed. The water is pan flat, and I think one thing to note as well is that the water is incredibly clear, which will make it quite a bit easier for the athletes to see the feet in front of them. Liz Captain from Estonia, she won the European Cup race in Rig in 2024, so an athlete who knows how to win races. Ambry Grisette shaking her hands now, and just behind her, wearing number 4, Fanny Salai. She is a very, very strong athlete across all disciplines and so much experience the young Hungarian athlete has. Just going out now, that's this athlete, Anouk Dana, 5th in the World Championships last year, but has 2 victories on the European Junior Cup circuit so far this year. So I think having had a chat with Fanny Salai yesterday, Anouk Dana for her is one of the athletes who is really, really in form here in Melilla. And we can see it is pretty breezy out there, actually. Palm trees are waving, and that suggests that it's going to be a very strong and hard bike course. It's a technical bike course for these athletes. 4 laps of just a tad under 5k. Very technical as well. So for some of these younger athletes with a little bit less experience than others, they're going to find themselves challenged here today. Lots of sweeping corners on this bike, and it gets very narrow in places as well. So probably the more experience you come into this race, the better. Jimenez Ola from Spain, the recently crowned junior duathlon world champion in Pontevedra just a few weeks ago. She is going to be an athlete, I think, racing on home soil. She's going to have a lot of confidence coming into this race. Santos from Portugal just going out now. Aya from Hungary as well, teammate of Fanny Salai. It's a big field here, 54 athletes racing, who will be hoping for a little bit of a break in the swim, going out onto the tight and technical bike course. Number 4 there, Fanny Salai, just lifting up her goggles. Such an experienced athlete. And she comes into this race with already a European Cup win under her belt. She was the sprint champion, or she is the reigning sprint champion in 2024. Always interesting to see the athletes on the start line here, looking for the right spot. They will have been down here in the water swimming, working out the best trajectory. It's a long swim out to the first buoy, just 1 lap of 750 meters, then a 130 meter run up to the transition area, which sits in the Plaza de las Culturas here in Melilla. Number 9 there, that is the athlete from Germany. She's the national 2025 junior champion, Carlotta Buch. These moments now ahead of the start. Incredible backdrop here. Small beach, small run up into the water, as you can see. Well, I don't think you can even call it a run up. Playa de los Galapagos here in Melilla, the Galapagos beach. Israeli athlete there just going out. Very breezy for this time in the morning. We normally expect the wind to pick up a little bit later on in the day.
Athletes, you are now on moving start.
And they are off. The 2025 European Triathlon Junior Sprint Championships here in Melilla is underway. The athletes now a fast start, very short run into the water, if you can call it a run. It is one lap of 750 metres. And we have heard that the weather conditions here are absolutely perfect. Still a little bit cool here in the morning, just after 8:30 local time, but it will be getting warmer as the minutes tick by. And a good strong start from the athletes here is so important to get away quickly. We have 54 starters here, and that's a big field of athletes, 21 nationalities racing the European Sprint Championships, which is absolutely magnificent to see. And what great sights these are now, looking down at the swimmers, the drone up there bringing us these brilliant pictures. The athletes at the moment all very, very spread out. The athlete that I think that we've really got to look out for here today is Ambre Cresset from France. She is the current junior world champion from 2024. Fanny Salai as well, the reigning sprint European champion. Highly competitive and experienced athlete at just 18 years of age. And we can see now it's a long swim out to the first buoy, where the athletes will then turn before making their way back to the beach. We'll be expecting times of around about 10 minutes, perhaps a tad under for some of the stronger swimmers. Let's look out for Liz Captain as well from Estonia. She won a European Cup race back in 2024. Ambre Cresset, who I was just talking about, comes to this race with high hopes of taking the gold medal, but she is going to be pushed hard by Fanny Salai and Lisa Lecomte as well, who's had multiple top 3 finishes on the European Triathlon European Cup circuit. Really good pictures here. We can see the back of the field, the canoeists there, just making sure the athletes are in order and are all safe. But the athletes at the moment still pretty well spread out. We'll expect to see them come together a little bit as we head towards that first yellow buoy. It's a clockwise swim here, so the athletes on the left-hand side, they'll approach that first buoy, make a right-hand turn, and then another right-hand turn before they make their way back to the Galapagos beach. It's an interesting location. Melilla here, it's an autonomous city of Spain which sits on the North African coast, surrounded by the Mediterranean water and bordering Morocco. It's just 12.3 kilometers square, so it's certainly not a massive city at all, but it's a beautiful city steeped in culture and history. Well, at the moment, our junior women athletes, our junior girls, shall we call them, all pretty much grouped together still. Well, as I say that, looking now, that arrowhead is formed, and we do have a fairly convincing leader out in front now. We will bring you names and numbers as we see them, but we might have to wait till the end of this swim to be able to pick out who our leaders are. But keep a lookout for Cristina Jimenez Horta from Spain. She is the top athlete racing for Spain here in Melilla, having just won the Triathlon World Championships in Pontevedra. Very strong athlete, got a second place finish in the European Cup race in Quarteira earlier on this year in Portugal. And we have a lone swimmer pushing out in front now. Carlotta Bulch from Germany. She's the current national champion. She will be an athlete to look out for now, as our athletes are just meters away from the first buoy. Big yellow buoy, easy to see. Well, it's easy to say that when you're looking at our pictures, when your head's down in the water and you're caught up with 54 other athletes, it's not so easy now. Our first athlete has already gone round the buoy and has a substantial lead already with just over 300 meters gone in this 750 meter swim. And the athlete's now getting pretty strung out, and looking at that first buoy, that looks a little bit messy there. And it's always really tough when you're in a big group. It gets a little bit tricky to see where you're going, and some of the athletes end up swimming on top of one another as our first athlete now has rounded that second buoy. It's a rectangular style swim here. The athletes now a good halfway through. We'll be keeping an eye on the clock, but expecting the athletes to be out of the water in under 10 minutes, certainly for the quicker swimmers. The athletes will be faced by a tricky, challenging bike course, 4 laps of 5 kilometers here on the streets in Melilla. It's tricky, it's tight, and certainly cobblestones are going to make it quite challenging before it turns into smoother road. There's a roundabout to negotiate, and it's certainly pretty technical. Long run up to the first transition, T1 as we call it in triathlon terms, around about 130 meters. Still a big group of athletes now trying to chase down our leader. When we have names and numbers, we will bring them to you. But beautiful conditions here in Melilla in Spain. Well, we have a whole weekend of racing for you. It's going to be massively exciting as we see 4 athletes crowned European champions. First up, well, I say 4, it's actually 6. We have the European women's race this morning and men's at 10:45 local time, and then moving to this afternoon we see the elite athletes go along with the under 23 athletes, and then of course tomorrow the much anticipated mixed relay junior sprint championship. Well, at the moment it looks to me like we have one lone swimmer out in front, looks to have around about at least 5 or 6 body lengths over the chasers, but the athletes now well and truly spread out as they make their way to the Galapagos beach here in Melilla. They'll make their way 130 meters towards T1 to the Plaza Las Culturas, where they have their first transition, and transitions so important in triathlon. We've seen so many races won and lost in transition. Clear water, beautiful part of the Mediterranean. Quick stroke there from our leader, nice high cadence, and she's making easy work of this 750 meters as she's got a big gap now on the chasers. Looks to me to be heading towards around about 10 body lengths. Super warm conditions. Having spoken to some of the athletes yesterday, it's been incredibly hot, and the temperature's not even dipping under 25 degrees in the night time. We are just around about 100 meters or so to go before we hit the beach and the athletes make their way up to transition. Nice, strong swim from our leader. We will try and pick out the race number on her cap, but our race leader here, knowing the importance of getting a gap, it will be important in this race to try and get a smaller group because it is a great bike course, but it's challenging and it's tight and technical in parts. So the smaller the group that you can work with, the better. Well, there we have it, our leader out in front by about 10 body lengths now, followed by a smaller group of around about 6 athletes. And as we can see, second and third place finishers are giving the group behind a really nice little tow. We can see the white water there, the strong leg kick as the athletes now make their way towards the beach. And it's just around about 25 meters now before our athletes will start to do that butterfly dive that we see as they head out of the water. A few little ripples of waves just coming through, but really nothing much to talk about. First athlete now is out of the water and heading up to T1, and that's a nice position to be in as she starts to remove her hat. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So a decent group of athletes now heading out of the water, and there are some small breaks. So the first part of this bike course is going to be absolutely crucial. Well, it was Fanny Salai. What a stunning swim from the reigning sprint European champion. That is a stunning swim from Fanny. As I mentioned, they would be just under 10 minutes, and they are exactly that, 9:55, the time that young Hungarian athlete has set. She was followed by Liz Kapten from Estonia, and we can see the athletes now, top 20 athletes all out in under 19 seconds. In fact, the top athletes, around about 24 athletes, all out within about 19 seconds of Fanny Salai from Hungary. She won the silver medal last year in the World Sprint Championships, and that was just behind Ambre Crozet from France, who is also here racing today. Fanny Salai is such an experienced athlete. She's raced the Super League series now for 2 years, so she knows how important these transitions are. Look at that, virtually faultless. She has an athlete alongside her, which is good. And these athletes now are going to have to really start motoring over the first few kilometres of this 20-kilometre bike course if they are going to get a break. And we can see there from Latvia, Jansson was in second place. Rigaud from France, French athlete, so strong, in third place. Grazette there, who we've mentioned, who is the reigning junior world champion. She's just rounding up the top 10. And a few bikes left now in transition here in the Plaza a las Culturas in Melilla. You are watching the 2025 European Sprint Junior Champion. It kicked off at 8:30 this morning local time. At 10:45 we will see the men go, and that's a big field of athletes that we will be lucky enough to watch racing around the streets here in Melilla. It's Fanny Salai who pushes the pace. She pushes some really big watts, a young Hungarian athlete. Do they have a break? Let's have a look what pictures our cameraman can bring us now. That's a little group there of 6 athletes. As I've mentioned, you cannot overemphasize the importance of trying to work really hard in these first couple of kilometers to get that much needed break on these on this course here in Melilla. It's tight, it's technical, it's on cobblestones, so a smaller group of 6 athletes would be absolutely perfect. But of course, there's going to be a lot of motivated and strong and hungry athletes trying to chase down our current race leader, Fanny Salai, who led the swim by over around about 10 body lengths, coming out of the water in 9:55, which is a pretty decent pace. It was a very nice swim, good conditions, but it's a tough swim with a long 350 meters before the athletes turned and swam back into the shore. So we can see now 19.6 kilometers is the length of this bike course here in Melilla. 4 laps of 14.9 kilometers. The athletes now have hit smooth road. Thankfully, they'll be glad to get off the cobblestones, which can make it much tougher on the arms and legs as the ground beneath slightly wobbles the bike. Looking out for the Spanish athlete, the top Spanish athlete racing here today, Cristina Jimenez. who won the recent Junior World Duathlon Championships in Pontevedra. Well, palm trees blowing. There'll be tough conditions out there on this bike course as the weather starts to heat up. Just a little bit of history on the European Sprint Championships. They started back in 2016 in Chartres in France, and then went to Düsseldorf in 2017, Tartu in 2018 in Estonia, and then to Kazan in Russia in 2019, before we had a 2-year break because of COVID. And last year's sprint championships were held, European championships were held in Balıkesir in Turkey, and they were of course won by none other than our race leader today, Fanny Salai. And Lisa Lecomte, who is also racing here today. Haven't seen a lot of her yet, wearing number 5. She's had multiple European Triathlon Junior Cup podium finishes. The French athlete who finished 3rd last year at the Sprint Championships in Turkey is racing here today. So this here is a big group of athletes. We will try to steady our pictures and bring you some information on where our race leaders are. Great conditions here. Palm tree, slightly blowing in the wind. Wind has picked up here quite a bit this morning. So much racing to look forward to over the course of today. Men's junior race will be up next at 10:45 local time. There we go. We have Rigaud from France, Dana. So all the pretty race favourites for me are sitting in this lead pack. So 14 seconds behind, so we have a reasonably big pack. 17 athletes in that lead pack. Can they stay away from the chasers? Athletes a little bit further down the field are getting spread out, and that's normal to see in these junior championship races. The athletes, some of them very, very young, some of them only a couple of races to their name, building their experience here for the future of their triathlon careers. But other athletes, such as the likes of Diana Dunieski from Slovakia, Liz Captain from Estonia, Ambre Grisset, the junior world champion from 2024, Fanny Salai, Lisa Lecomte, have a wealth of experience between them now. So the athlete that Fanny Salai was talking about when I managed to catch up with her yesterday, Anouk Dana, it's a Swiss athlete that Fanny Salai says is very much on the up. She's won 2 of the European Junior Cup races so far this year, in Quarteira in Portugal and Olsztyn in Poland earlier on this year. So that is Anouk Dana, the Swiss athlete that Fanny Salai believes is one of the big threats here for, if not the top of the podium, the podium. 54 athletes started the race here in just over 19 minutes ago on the beach, the Galapagos beach. This is such a stunning city, just 12.3 kilometers squared, and it fronts the Mediterranean Sea and Morocco. It lies on the eastern side of the Cape Three Forks, bordering Morocco and facing the Mediterranean Sea. And Melilla is an autonomous city of Spain, which sits on the North African coast. Well, the athletes now in one big line. The pace definitely on here. You see when the athletes get strung out, tends to suggest that the pace is on as they come round that left-hand bend, and they are moving rapidly here around the streets. Let's take a look at our top athletes. Reckman from Germany, the German team, very, very strong here. Fanny Salai sitting out of trouble, 3 seconds down. This is our lead group now, though. Let's have a look. Cut off at 14, so 14 athletes in that front pack, but the chasers are not far behind, just around about 15 seconds as the athletes make their way around this first lap of 4.9 kilometers. They'll have 3 laps to go now as the athletes round that tight little left-hand bend. And you need your wits about you on this course. Some of the athletes, of course, will be making their debut at the Sprint European Championships. Others are far more experienced and already thinking ahead to their senior career in triathlon. Well, the athletes now just protected by the buildings either side, and the wind does seem to have settled as we've moved away from the beach area. The flags and palm trees were blowing hard down on the beach. There was a slight ripple on the water, but mainly the conditions here have been perfect. Our lead motorcyclist now leading the way ahead of this group of 14 athletes in the 2025 European Triathlon Sprint Championships. So much to look forward to today, with the men's race up next on 10:45 local time. The elite and under 23 take place early this evening, and the mixed relay tomorrow. So we have one athlete that's dropped off the back there, and a fair gap now down to our chasers. Yeah, that gap has definitely grown to around about 20 seconds between this chase pack here and our leader, which contains some of, or not perhaps all of our pre-race favourites. Ambrik Rosette is in there, Diana Doneski from Slovakia, the sprint national champion. Anouk Dana from Switzerland is in there. Fanny Salai is in that lead pack too. We have 2, 3, 4 packs now. So this is what you would expect to see with the junior women. 54 athletes made it to the start line. And these athletes now are way back on our chasers. We'll see as the athletes come round over the blue carpet for the first time, having completed 4.9 kilometres of this 19.6 kilometre bike course. The athletes started off with 750 metres in the warm Mediterranean Sea, starting on the Galapagos beach. Very short run into the water it was, but a long transition up to T1, 130 metres, as our elite athletes now keep the pressure on, keep moving forward, keep trying to extend that gap over to the chasers. Ambrik Rosette, they're the world champion. Fanny Salai, the reigning sprint champion, is in the top 4 there. And that's Jimenez there, who will be disappointed at the moment as to where she finds herself. Jimenez, the recently crowned junior world duathlon champion, and she's had a really strong start to 2025 with 2 top 3 finishes in European Triathlon Union Cup races, but at the moment she is off the pace. And if you find yourself detached from a group, it then becomes very, very hard, I think, not just from a motivational point of view, but a physical perspective of pushing down big enough power to try and pull back some of the leaders. That gets really, really tricky when you have a group like this. Our leaders, 14 of them there, highly motivated to stay away from the chase pack. They know the importance of being in a smaller group on this tight technical bike course. At the moment, though, they are on a nice wide stretch of road, smooth conditions, but they do have cobblestones to contend with. during this bike leg, and we can see there our race leaders. Lecomte is there. She will definitely be one to watch. 8th in the World Championships, Sprint World Championships last year. A lot of experience under her belt. Turns 19 this year. She'll be one to look out for, but the gaps are ever so slightly growing now, although this lead group definitely not out of danger. They've got to keep the pressure on. They've got to keep trying to work as a team almost, which is difficult when you're, as I said, you've got 21 nationalities. Not everyone will speak English, but you really have to try and marshal the troops to keep the pace up, to keep the speed up, to stay away from that motivated chase pack, who at this stage will get an opportunity to see the gap that separates them and the leaders. Well, the weather conditions here looking absolutely fantastic for the 8th edition of the European Sprint Championships. It is, of course, 6. We lost 2 years because of COVID. It started back in 2016, and it's such a great addition to the calendar, giving these junior athletes a great opportunity to come out and ride hard and fast, with the pressure of knowing that European titles are up for grab, and of course they'll be able to hang around and watch the elite and under 23 race later on today. So the chasers are not too far behind. Jimenez, we can see in 22nd place there, 35 seconds down, and then a reasonable gap back to Patterson from Great Britain, heading towards a minute now. Gaps really starting to form. Group of 3 athletes now, that contains Cristina Jimenez. I think they're going to have a tough job to try and pull back the chasers. So these are our race leaders. A pack that was formed early on. Fanny Salai led out the water in a time of 9 minutes and 55 seconds. Well, this is the really technical part on the bike course. Narrow, and as you can see, the athletes riding over cobblestones. Our timing graphics there telling us the story of how this European Sprint Championship race is panning out. Gaps forming all over the place, but there is a very obvious group here out in front. It's a smaller group than what I thought. Some of the athletes are struggling to stay on here with the fast pace that is being set by our race leaders. Fanny Salai is tucked in there. Lecomte from France is in there too. And Ambre Croisette, the current world junior champion, is up there. Athletes really racing well. It's technical, this course, and some of the athletes won't have the experience that some of the athletes that we'll see racing later today, the elite athletes, the under 23 athletes, but they are making this bike look easy at the moment. And that is a British athlete that sadly has been dropped from this lead group. And this lead group now starting to thin out a bit as the athletes are struggling with the pace. And I think not just the pace, but the technical aspect of this course. Fanny Salai, our reigning sprint champion, has spoken a lot about how she's worked really, really hard on the technical aspect of her riding, particularly cornering, where many athletes will find themselves in trouble if they are not fast and strong in and out of these corners. Streets here still quiet in Melilla. The race kicked off at 8:30 local time. The athletes have been going for around about half an hour now, and they are well on their way to hitting the halfway point. Note they're on the third lap now, so they complete the third lap and they'll have one to go. 4.9 kilometers of distance in each lap. 4 laps in total. The run will be fun. The run is just one lap, and that's going to be tough. It's relatively flat, although there is a nasty little hill towards the end of the 5 kilometers, and then it's a quick downhill to the finish line. These are our race leaders, as you can see, 30 minutes on the clock, and these athletes have not taken the pressure off the pedals as they work hard to stay away from the chasers. Ambre Crasset there from France. Coy sadly has been dropped, Helena Coy, but racing still really strongly, but unfortunately has not been able to hang on to our leaders, but her time will come for sure. Back on the long straight here now. This gives the athletes, the chasers, an opportunity to see how far they are behind, but this group has worked incredibly well from the start of this 20-kilometer bike course. They formed a group early on, rode strongly for those first vital kilometers, and have managed to get a nice break now over the chasers. The main pack has been broken up. We have little clumps of athletes all the way around this bike course, and interesting to see number 6 there, or sitting in 6th place, is Carlotta Bulch from Germany, another very strong athlete, recently crowned national champion of Germany. We can see there, so we have 9 athletes in this lead group. Helena Coy dropped off, unfortunately. She finds herself 20 seconds back as the athletes now head out on to the final lap of this 4-lap bike course, but at the moment this group looking very comfortable, and for my liking, this is where the medals are coming from. Fanny Salai has put herself in a very good position in this race, and very smart too. She's tucked in there in this group, given herself a little bit of a buffer from the wind, kept herself out of trouble, but there are still a few kilometers to go, and anything can happen, as we see the young British athlete Helena Coy now doing everything she can to try and get back on to the lead group, but virtually impossible when you have 9 athletes ahead of you all working together. And this will be a breezy section of the bike course. You're pretty exposed out here on this wide road, but nice road surface, nice and smooth, in contrast to the cobblestones that the athletes have to negotiate on part of this 4.9 kilometer lap. So this is a dangerous time here in the race, when the athletes perhaps start to look around, see who's there, glance around, start working out what's going to happen on the run. And as I said that, the 2 German athletes have a little chat, perhaps discussing what they might do. I think a breakaway probably is not going to happen now. Reckman from Germany is in there, and Fanny Salai, such a strong runner. Lisa Lecomte as well finds herself in great form. She got 3rd in the European Triathlon Junior Cup race in Houten in the Netherlands just a few weeks ago, so comes to this race with experience and great form. Lisa Captain from Estonia just off the back a little bit there. Whistles blowing to warn the spectators that our lead group of junior women are coming through. 34 minutes on the clock now. We will be expecting an overall time, racing time of around about an hour. They still have a lap to go on this bike course, and that's a flat 5 kilometre run to tackle. There we have it. 9 athletes in this race. Out in front, our leaders here today at the 2025 European Triathlon Junior Sprint Championships. And Helena Coy, really, what a great effort from the young British athlete. Losing a few seconds, but actually really holding her own. The chase pack behind her now, not that far behind, 40 seconds, 15 seconds. So our leaders are 40 seconds ahead from the main chase group, and that is a fantastic buffer for these junior women to go out onto the run. You can see there the chasers, first couple of chasers. Helena Coy, though, sitting in 10th place, wasn't able to go with this early pace the leaders have set. And some of these athletes here, although young, do have a wealth of experience as they right round this left-hand bend now. And head towards those nasty cobblestones that are pretty uncomfortable on the shoulders and arm. Helena Coy there, riding with a pretty high cadence, but looking technically really strong. So this is the start of the last lap for our leaders. Each lap starts on the cobbles and then turns into a smoother road. A lot of sweeping corners throughout, and it is very narrow, but our junior athletes really doing a great job on this tricky course. Weather conditions looking absolutely fantastic. It's a warm day, going to be much warmer for our elite and under 23 athletes who go much later on this afternoon. So plenty of races to look forward to this weekend here in Melilla. Beautiful, beautiful city which sits on the North African coast, bordering Morocco. These are our chasers now, all working well together, but a good 40 seconds or so of the pace has been set by our leaders. Fanny Salai, who left the beautiful, calm, crystal clear waters of the Mediterranean just over 37 minutes ago in a time of 9:55. And in this lead pack, most of the pre-race favourites. André Grasset from France, junior world champion. Liz Captain, who won a European Cup race back in 2024 in Rig from Estonia, is up here. Diana Dunajewska, the national Slovakian champion, is in there too. Lisa Lecomte is up there. Anouk Danner from Switzerland, very, very strong athlete. But Fanny Salai is, I think, the one that we need to be watching out for. Having been fortunate enough to chat with her yesterday, she said she is in great nick at the moment. She's an athlete that comes to this race, even with just 18 years of age, so much experience. And as we talk about her, there she is in the colours of Hungary on the white Cannon bike. And she's so competitive, absolutely loves racing. Her whole life is evolves around triathlon, and has a lot of support from her family. She's already raced around the world with Super Tri, and certainly held her own amongst the big girls, the elite athletes of the sport. Helena Coy sadly got dropped off this group, but still working really well, sits in 10th place with a handful of chasers not too far off her wheel, about 15 seconds. Head down, pushing the pedals hard, nice high cadence there. 39 seconds on the clock. So just a couple of kilometers to go on this bike course before the athletes will hit T2, the second transition. Many people say it is the fourth discipline of this sport, and that is so, so true. If you have a bad transition, your race can be lost. If you have a good one, it can be won. Well, I'm not sure if that is actually correct, but if it is, Helena Coy is having the race of her life because, by the looks of things, having been a good 20 seconds down, finds herself 7 seconds down. Krumbach from Luxembourg, 28 seconds down. Janaski, one of our pre-race favourites as well, sitting 30 seconds down from Slovakia. That's a bit of a disappointing start to her European Triathlon Junior Sprint campaign. Well, our pictures are back now. Sorry for that disruption as the leaders now make their way into transition. It was Grasset from France who's first off the bike, and this group of 9 athletes all making their way out onto the run now. His captain there was the 10th athlete, 6 seconds behind. Fanny Salai went out in 3 seconds. As I said, Helena Coy there having the absolute bike of her life to find herself 4 seconds down, having lost around about 20 seconds. And these are now our chasers coming into transition, wearing number 12, Van der Bruggen, 34 seconds down. That's a fair amount to make up on this 5-kilometer run. So, and Minbu from Belgium is up there as well, wearing number 13. Donetska from Slovakia, one of the pre-race favourites. She's got a lot of work to do, 35 seconds down. And now our chasers, our third pack, comes into transition, and this is a bit of a bigger pack. The athletes need to be careful as they rack their bikes. No mistakes can be made, because otherwise the athletes potentially can incur a penalty. But they all look to be smoothly out now on to the final lap, the final leg of this European Triathlon Sprint Championship race. Well, all of the bikes neatly racked in the Plaza a las Culturas. We have a strong race out in front. 4 athletes there. I picked out Fanny Salai. Is Ambre Crasset there from France, the reigning world junior champion, as the athletes now head down the road, lined by trees and cafes. A little bit quiet here in Melilla, just after 10 o'clock in the morning here in Melilla. Quarter past nine in the morning. So Anouk Rigaud from France is up there looking really strong. Fanny Salai on the shoulder there of our leader. Well, 2 athletes now out in front have made a bit of a run for it. And it's Dana from Switzerland, who Fanny Salai mentioned to me yesterday, saying, I'm a little bit nervous as the Swiss athlete. She comes into this European Junior Sprint Championships in fantastic form, having won 2 European Cup races so far this year. She got 5th in the World Championships last year that Fanny Salai took the silver medal in. Ambre Crasset from France looks to me to have been dropped off the pace, but Dana from Switzerland is setting a formidable pace. But Fanny Salai has a ton of experience and is certainly not going to let her out of her sight for one moment as she pulls up onto the left-hand shoulder of the young Swiss athlete, and they're out now in the exposed area with the sun beating down. It's well into the 20s here now at 9:15 in the morning in Melilla as the athletes take on a little bit of water. Fanny Salai there just missing out. But these are our 2 breakaway athletes leading this European Sprint Junior Championship. Fanny Salai, Dana from Switzerland. Would be expecting a pretty swift 5K time from these athletes. A little bit of a hill here now. It's mainly flat, this course, but it gets a little bit technical towards the end. The last 400 meters through the castle, very steep ramp with some steps and over drawbridges. And then it sweeps down and suddenly the finish is upon them. Both athletes here looking super strong. Fanny Salai looking magnificent, as is the Swiss athlete. And these are the stars of the future of triathlon for sure. Head down now for the Swiss athletes as she makes her way up this short incline. It was pretty breezy at 8:30 in the morning, but looking pretty calm now. Next up, at 10:45 local time, we will be bringing you the junior men's race, followed by this afternoon the big finale, the elite and under 23 athletes that will go together. They will be huge fields of athletes racing. And tomorrow, the mixed relay, which everyone loves. So much fun, so much drama. That will take place here tomorrow once the athletes have had a night to recover from their efforts. Well, Cressette, Ambre Cressette, the reigning world champion, has not been able to go with the pace being set by Salai. And Dana from Switzerland finds herself back in third place, still working hard though, pumping the arms. And Fanny Salai and Anouk Dana are out of sight now. They have set an absolutely phenomenal pace. Just heading towards 50 minutes on the clock as Chrisette now pushes up this little hill and over the bridge. A difficult place to be when you find yourself on your own with no other athletes to motivate you, to drive you forward. But Chrisette has a lot of experience and will be just keeping her head down, working hard to keep her bronze medal position. The cadence is good. She looks relaxed and quick, but it is a phenomenal performance from the Hungarian athlete and Swiss athlete that have broken up this group, this lead group of 10 athletes that came into 2-2 together. And in the very early stages of this 5-kilometer run, the field has been decimated by the quick pace being set by Fanny Salai and Anouk Dana from Switzerland. It's going to be a great battle between these two experienced junior athletes. Well, the French athlete still looks full of running. She will be making her way now into the second kilometre of this 5-kilometre final section of the Sprint Junior European Championships. 51 minutes on the clock. Tough times for the French athlete. She would love to have been able to go with the pace being set by Fanny Salai and Anouk Dana, but that was a formidable pace they've set, and I don't see them backing off. Some might think they've gone off too quick, but these athletes now out in front, the Hungarian and the Swiss athlete, have so much experience between the two of them. They really do. And it's interesting to see the improvement that Anouk Dana has made since her 5th place finish at the World Junior Championships last year, having won back-to-back races so far in European Cup races in the 2025 season. And she is going to prove to be tough competition for Fanny Salai. And I'm just having a little look here, and it does look like I'm going to have to correct myself, because having said that Cressette was in 3rd place, it looks to me, because that's what our graphic set said, it actually looks like Cressette was the one that went out super fast and hard. And it is now Fanny Salai's in 2nd, Dana in 3rd, but they are fast approaching the French athletes. So apologies for our viewers there. I think even our motorcyclists thought that the French athlete, the world champion, the current reigning world champion, was behind in 3rd place. Fanny Salai now just overtakes the French athlete. Will she have anything to answer with? I think it's very difficult mentally when you've had a big gap to be caught like that. You've got to get your head down. You've got to stay focused. You've got to stay highly motivated, because she had a gap and she has now been caught by Fanny Salai and Anouk Dana from Switzerland. But Cressette, though, holding strong, staying on the shoulders now of Fanny Salai. And this is going to be a brilliant battle for our bronze, silver, and gold medals. Dana now just pushing out in front, drops down that left arm to slightly try and relax the shoulders. And is it Dana now who's deciding to make a bit of a break early on, waving at the supporters, volunteers at the water station? She went ahead a little bit there. I think was that to give herself an opportunity to try and grab some water at this stage. You probably need a little bit more water, but you've got to stay focused, get your head down for the last couple of kilometers, because this is going to be a huge battle for the medal positions in Melilla in Spain for the European Triathlon Sprint Championships. The athletes now making their way down this big boulevard-style road, wide, exposed and open. The wind since this morning's swim has ever so slightly dropped. And as with cycling, the athletes do get a little bit of a draft if they're able to sit on the shoulder of an athlete in front. It's not quite as much as you get on the bike, but you certainly will get a little bit of a draft. Protect yourself from any slight breeze that there may be out there. We're heading towards 55 minutes on the clock now, and these three athletes are inseparable at the moment, and all three of them just looking phenomenally strong. I don't see a weakness yet. It does seem to be like it's Dana, though, who keeps trying to push the pace. She keeps trying to nudge forward. We know Fanny Salai has a brilliant sprint finish. And I think it gets to the point in a race like this where the mentally stronger will pull through and take the victory, because everyone is hurting. The legs are burning. They've been going flat out now for coming up for 56 minutes. These are going to be tired legs. The heart and lungs have been working hard, and it's the mentally strongest. It's the one that can go deepest that will come out on top. Fanny Salai still looking strong, though, sitting back in third place, just on the shoulder of the French athlete. Well, it was Grasset that left transition first. She caught us out. She went out so quickly that we missed her. And at one point, we thought she was sitting in third, and it was Dana and Salai that were out in front. But Grasset was caught by Dana and Salai. Is Salai showing a little bit of weakness now as she swoops round and takes some water from the volunteer? You have to be really careful here not to alter your stride, to stay in this little group. They will be working off one another. But these are brilliant pictures, brilliant moments in the final of the 5-kilometer run. The athletes have swum 750 metres in the Mediterranean, beautiful crystal clear waters. They then left T1 on a 19.6 kilometre bike leg made up of 4 loops, and the pace seems to quicken now. The athletes getting nervous, as it is Fanny Salai who smartly pushes in front around the bend, getting the shortest trajectory. And this is a technical. This is a tough section here now on this run course. You can see cobblestones. It's narrow. It's steep. They have stairs to contend with, which on tired legs is going to be super, super tough. But we will wait for our athletes to appear on this final section of the 5-kilometer run. That looks to be our lead cyclist just pushing on ahead. He's got to dismount so he can make his way up the stairs. Volunteer slightly in the way, runs on ahead, looking over his shoulder. Where is our group of 3 athletes, our leaders, the gold, bronze and silver medalists? Is there a bit of a break? Is it Dana who has been dropped? It looks to be the French athlete that's pushed out in front. Grasset is there. Salai is there. The Swiss athlete, Dana, though, so much hard work put into this race, now finds herself in bronze medal position, unable to contend with the fast pace being set by the French and the Hungarian athletes. Is Salai going to have to settle for second, as she did in the World Championships last year when the French athlete took the golden crown? Dana now, though, looking ever so tired, but still working hard. She struggled with those cobblestones, those steep stairs up through the castle. What a brilliant run course, but this is going to challenge not just the legs, but the mind as well. Salai there, just hanging on to the shoulder of the French athlete. The final moments now of this European Triathlon Sprint Junior Championship race comes towards the end. We have 59 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, but it is the French athlete, the reigning world champion, who takes the sprint European title here in Melilla, with Salai from Hungary settling for second. She will be pointed with that. She is such a competitive athlete. Dana from Switzerland taking the bronze medal. What a magnificent performance from these four athletes. As the fourth athlete crosses the line. No, that is a replay there of Dana finishing in third. Well, Grasset from France, what a phenomenal performance. The world junior champion can now add the European sprint title to her name. Fanny Salai, what a brilliant performance, but knowing how competitive she is, she'll be a little bit disappointed not to have retained the title that she won in Turkey in 2024. And our fourth athlete now crosses the line. We will pick up on the names as they come through. Anouk Rigaud from France, that was 47 seconds down on our leaders. And in fifth place now, Carlotta Bulch from Germany, just coming across the line. Liz Captain, one of the pre-race favourites there, coming across the line in sixth place. And that is one of the young Hungarian athletes, Yasmin Kropko. Very pleased with her seventh place finish. Helena Coy, what a fantastic race, having been dropped on the bike to finish in the top 9. More athletes coming across the line. Reckman from Germany rounding up the top 10. But look at that, 1 minute and 48 seconds down on the leaders. Ambry Cressette set that formidable pace early on. She was caught by the Hungarian and the Swiss athlete, but it didn't shake her, and she still managed to run away from Fanny Salai in the dying stages of this race. It is a thoroughly entertaining run course, challenging for the athletes. Those are last few 500 meters with cobblestones and stairs and a big hill to contend with. But Ambry Grasset absolutely nailed it, finishing in a time of 59 minutes and 37 seconds to add the European sprint title to her World Championship title. 17 athletes across the line now. We started off with 54 athletes. What a credible European sprint championships it has been for our junior women today. Well, up next at 10:45, we have the junior men's race that looks set to be an absolute blinder as our athletes now come across the line. 18th place finisher Shara Banka from Belgium there in 18th place, 3 minutes and 13 seconds down. Dora Pustai just across the line in 20th position. Those are our top 20 athletes home safely across the finish line. If you are still with us watching our junior women wrap up this race, do stay with us, because at 10:45 we have the junior men's race, And you can go away and have a little break and come back later to see the elite men and women and under 23s all go head to head. Well, we will be back in just over an hour's time to see who will be crowned Junior Men European Sprint Champion. So go away, grab your coffee, get some breakfast, and we will see you in a short while.